The coolest thing happens on my sobriety birthday. My husband and I went to the Big Island in Hawaii, went to a meeting, and the cutest little old man came up and said, "Can I get your name and phone number and sobriety date? I like to call people on their sobriety date." I thought, okay, sure. Every year he gets me, I answer it and I don't know why. And then I hear his name. "Hi, Marissa, it's Jack." And he wishes me a happy sobriety birthday ever since that time. And it's just the best, most beautiful surprise. And it's just one of those gifts of sobriety. And I would have missed that.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine Half-Hour Variety Hour, featuring the collected voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Don, an alcoholic in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Hey everybody, I'm Sam. I'm an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
Hi, Sam.
I got nothing for this. I am done.
You're not going to bring anything to it. You've got an announcer voice. I know it's in you.
Hi, I'm Sam, an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
That's beautiful, Sam. That's beautiful. But listen, we don't have time for this. We've got to get right to the email that we got from a listener.
The email reads, "Hi, my adult sponsee is illiterate, so he finds the podcast to be an amazing resource. Thank you so much. Any tips on working with differently able adults, such as reading challenges/literacy, concepts comprehension, step work when the sponsee can't read, the physically challenged, some people can't speak, see, hear, etc. I could use any tips or tricks from those accustomed to working with special needs adults. Thank you for all you do, Rudy."
Grapevine editor John responds, "We did a great special issue by members with neurodivergence in November 2024. You can access the archive on aagrapevine.org. or in the app with a subscription. The first article is Listening to Life by Grace L. in Rochester, a member of AA with autism and an acquired brain injury.
At no point did my sponsor ever tell me that I had a problem, nor did she ever tell me that I should get sober. She didn't push, so I didn't have to push back. Instead, I felt respected in a new and unusual way. I was relieved when I read in the third tradition that the only requirement was a desire to stop drinking. I didn't have to identify as anything or as having any problem. If there is someone like me out there struggling about whether or not they should stay in the fellowship and work a program because they feel lost in language games, I want them to know they're not alone. I've been there.
Next, I Hear the Message by podcast friend Mac Mick in Pitcairn, Pennsylvania, a member of AA who couldn't read and has dyslexia. And this is on what a sponsor actually did instead of waiting for the sponsee to figure it out.
He had read the entire big book on tape for me. The following Saturday, he explained, "If you're going to be successful in AA, you need to know what's in that book." And now you do. My sponsor arranged for me to do service taping at AA conventions. I told him that I was not capable because of my dyslexia. He said that he and 3 other men would set everything up, and all I had to do was go and do it.
And one more from November 2024, Different But Not Different by Neely R. in Milwaukee, an AA member with Down syndrome.
I want to thank my first sponsor from the Solutions Group for giving me a good foundation, and my second sponsor from the Well Group for getting me to the 9th step. She means a lot to me because she came with me to my father's funeral. She's a little hard, but I need that. She reminds me to watch my actions and to dress appropriately for meetings and conferences. She helps me no matter what I'm going through.
Alice says, the Plain Language Big Book, YouTube, and our audio resources are just a few things we can highlight. And another is the podcast, Our Primary Purpose by AAWS. It has an excellent episode about neurodivergent members of AA. It's titled AA is for Everyone, and it's Season 2, Episode 2.
And be sure to read the leaflet F107, Making the AA Message Accessible. Get it from your local intergroup or AA.org. Just search F-107. It addresses every question you have, Rudy.
Sam, who's our guest today?
Oh, Don, today's guest is Marissa M. in Concord, California. And afterward, we'll answer a question sent in to the Ask It basket.
But first,
the news! ICYPA 2026, the 66th Annual International Conference of Young People in AA, is September 3rd through the 6th in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
This year's theme is On Awakening. It's straight out of pages 86 and 87 of the Big Book. Simple, practical, and something we try to live every day.
This year, they're building the weekend around that idea. What it actually looks like, whether you're starting fresh or continuing to stay grounded, living this one day at a time.
Their programs team is putting together a lineup that's grounded in the book and real to how we live today.
And outside the meetings, hey, this is ICYPA. Thousands of young people in recovery, connecting, laughing, staying up way too late, and actually enjoying sobriety together.
Learn more at ICYPA.org. That's ICYPAA.org.
Ever wish there was a current book on the steps? Our 12 Steps is a brand new collection of stories from AA members about working the program's 12 Steps of Recovery. Each chapter illuminates a different step through the experiences of a wide variety of AA members.
This volume features all new, up-to-date stories from the pages of Grapevine, the International Journal of Alcoholics Anonymous. Great for sponsees and step meetings. $13.99. Order online at aagrapevine.org/books.
Hello, I am Marissa. I'm an alcoholic. I live in Concord, California. My home group is Get Sober, Win Prizes group. We meet every Monday at 6:30 p.m. It's a hybrid group, in person and online. In person, we meet in Martinez, California. And I like to plug that you will literally get prizes at this group. Every week, we celebrate birthdays under a year. Every month, we have a speaker meeting at the end of the month. And if you get up to celebrate a sobriety milestone, we have a prize box that you get to dig around into, not look, but pick a prize.
Well, that's kind of like the dentist office when I was a kid. You could get a little prize.
You're onto something. The prizes range. We don't have plastic spider rings, but we might add those now.
I want a bouncy ball.
Yeah. And my sobriety date is today. I am celebrating 13 years of sobriety. And I know.
Spit out the monkeys. Well, congratulations.
I know. I can't think of a better way to celebrate. You know, I was so pumped to have been invited and to be joining you for the podcast to talk AA and express my love for AA in this program. I don't know who I am now. You know, years ago, I would have been day drinking. It's a gorgeous day here in the Bay Area. And today I do things like involve myself in AA.
Well, Marissa, if you're like me, I relive it on my birthday. Can you describe how you felt when you came to AA?
The strongest feeling that I had was absolutely drowning in fear of what things were going to look like moving forward. My biggest fear was that I would be walking around feeling like an alien for the rest of my life, knowing that sobriety was the thing that I needed to do, but fearing that I would always be fighting against something and never have what I now know as peace and serenity. So if that makes sense, I was overwhelmed with a fear of feeling like forever I would be fighting against the thought and urge to want to drink and change myself, and then fighting against feeling miserable. And
Mm-hmm.
just that would be my upward battle. And that is a far cry from my experience today.
When did you begin to relax?
It was in little moments. And for me, how it worked was if I took the action, that would get me out of self for long enough. One little action, going to a meeting, reading something I didn't want to read, talking to somebody I didn't want to talk to. And then it kind of felt like, bam, I'd be sitting in a meeting and I'd relate to what somebody said. And I realized, oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I made it 3 months. Oh,
Mm.
I've actually been okay. I had to learn one action at a time that I was not going to light on fire and die.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
good
a
visual.
that's a real drastic version of one day at a time. One day at a time. That I'm not going to
Yeah.
light on fire and burn.
I'm a dramatic alcoholic at my core, so it didn't matter whether it was showing up to court or feeling a very scary feeling. They both felt like I'm going to light on fire and die, and then taking the action. And very often, always, I never did it alone. I think that was another turning point too, when I realized everyone in the meeting was with me. People were calling and checking on me. I was developing relationships. I was experiencing love and support and realizing that I'm not alone and that I have all of you with me, and then eventually a higher power with me when I came to believe. And that helps me to know, that I can walk through anything and gives me a new perspective. It's a much broader perspective, right?
Was one of your fears the idea that they were asking you to depend on a higher power?
That wasn't a big fear. It was tough for me to accept that I deserved it. That's how
Ah,
I came in.
I see.
Very full of self-loathing, and I had to find examples of ways that I was being loved and cared for. And AA showed me that first.
So, what happened for you that you found that you were lovable and you were a good person and you did deserve good things?
It was a slow progression, which is good because for an alcoholic like me, I think if I got some sort of magic bullet experience, I would have felt wrapped up, cured, and wham bam, thank you,
Mm.
ma'am, and been out the door. I really think that I needed to walk through all of the things that I identified in my fourth and fifth step. The thing, like you said, the things that were everything I was keeping under my bed, all of the scary things I was keeping under my bed. I think that's where the big change and where I started to love myself was proving to myself every day. Little things turn into big things for me. And so even if I woke up feeling I don't like myself, how am I going to deal with the consequences and the messes that I made in my disease? But showing up and doing those esteemable acts to create little by little self-esteem for myself was the turning point. So going to a meeting, and even though I still felt like my life was falling apart, and my sponsor telling me, you've got enough sobriety to reach your hand out. You've got enough sobriety to give somebody a ride. You have a car. Okay, all these other things aren't great in your life. You've got a car. You can make it to the meeting. And lo and behold, my perspective would just grow little by little. And I
By giving
started,
someone a ride?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And by realizing today I have a little more power than I did yesterday. I have the power of choice, and that's something. I have the power of choice. I'm choosing to go be of service. I'm choosing to go do the right thing. And that built me up just enough to where the voice inside my head saying, you're not enough. Well, I had just done an action that maybe was counter to that. I have some really big examples of relationships in my life that have absolutely changed for the better because I decided to take the suggestions, do the step work around keeping my side of the street clean. Um, some of my biggest guilt and shame feelings around damages that I did to the most important relationships in my life. One example that I think of is I had a very dysfunctional relationship with my mother when I got sober, and those feelings stuck around for a while, but doing my inventory over and over again and being told to treat that relationship like a service commitment until it didn't feel like one. I could latch on to that action
Oh,
because
wow.
in my brain, I think of all of the stories. I think of the past. I think of, well, she did this and then I felt that. But the truth of the matter is, show up to what is in front of me, which is it's her birthday. Go be a good daughter, you know? And little by little, year over year, the thing that has healed me is acting in a way that I would be proud of, that my higher power wants me to be. And 13 years later, the way that that woman gets to lean on me with no judgment, with no judgment on my end, learning to just love and give it freely, just like things were given so freely away to me, when I came into the rooms. That has absolutely transformed our relationship. And that has healed and taken away. It's the St. Francis prayer. I no longer need to be understood by some of these, relationships that felt so tangled when I first came in, which is everything that I drank over, and learning to just make sure that I take actions around that St. Francis prayer, the opposite action. Let me try to understand her. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy.
So, Marissa, one of the things that you just said was an absolute gem. And I just want to repeat it in case somebody didn't catch it, because I've never heard anyone mention this, at least in this way. And that was to treat these personal relationships that were problematic like a service commitment.
Yes, that struck me too.
I got chills because it gives a practical way to remove self from something and just show up. But it's also that thing, just like you were talking about esteemable acts. I have a feeling that in the beginning, those esteemable acts were not necessarily things you wanted to do, but they still worked on having an effect on you. Similarly, doing this service work, in air quotes, is another one of those esteemable acts. And it might not be something that you want to do in that moment, but look what you get from sustained work.
Absolutely. And it took me a while to realize, but what was happening in my disease, and even prior to when things were very, very bad in my disease, was I was comfortable in certain behaviors and certain spaces and certain ways of thinking, right? I was comfortable in that for very long. And then it became an absolute addiction and a habit to numb out those feelings that I, was uncomfortable with, with alcohol. And so coming into sobriety, having that spiritual awakening of, oh, I have got to, if I want a different experience, I have got to do things differently. And that was a suggestion from my sponsor at the time to treat something like a service commitment until it did not feel like one. I think that she just knew. She saw me moving in the rooms, moving in service, checking the boxes, right? And the longer I am sober, the more I realize what it gives me is continued new perspectives. And what I realized after treating that relationship like a service commitment until it didn't feel like one was, I realized in the moment, wow, I'm willing to show up and do coffee every Saturday morning for 6 months. And it hit me, and I thought, I can be willing to show up for ways that make me feel uncomfortable in other aspects of my life.
Yeah.
it's taking the little fundamental things of recovery that we learn to do in recovery and using those tools. That's why we call it a toolbox. We use those tools out in our lives in different places. That's so beautiful.
Marissa, is there a moment in the past 13 years where you experienced some difficulty that just you couldn't handle, and somehow, some way, higher power people showed up and it surprised you?
The first one that comes to mind, I very freely share what happened to me and what brought me into the rooms. And, it was my own doing. I had big consequences. I am a low bottom alcoholic, and I ended up in court for several years. I ended up having to legally fight back to regain custody of children and repair relationships and create safe spaces so that my children could come back into my life. And there was one poignant moment that's standing out to me. So I say that all to just say there were a lot. I ended up with a lot of consequences, and there were many times that I wondered, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to fight through these feelings? How am I not going to grab a drink, right?
Yeah.
But a great example of that is I was sober. I'd been sober for a few years, I don't know, somewhere like 3-ish years, right? Felt like I'd been doing the right thing. I'm showing up to meetings. I'm meeting with my sponsor. I'm doing the step work. I'm, being of service to my home group. I'm sponsoring other women, and things were not going well. I found myself crying in the shower, wondering, what am I all doing this for? The outside didn't match the inside yet. I was not seeing my children the way that I wanted to and the way that my heart was pulling me to. I was doing the right things, and obstacles were still popping up, making those not happen the way that I wanted them to. And I had a breakdown in the shower. I was crying in the shower. And it was right before one of my regular meetings. And I just think that my feet were trained, and I had for those few years told people if I was going to show up, I showed up. And so with a swollen red post-cry face, I showed up to that meeting because it was a regular meeting of mine. And I did not know who was speaking that night, but like you had mentioned about home groups and regular meetings, I showed up, and all of the women in that meeting who were always there were there that night, and it didn't matter how I showed up. And higher power and the people in AA showed up for me that night. And my sponsor happened to be the one who was sharing that night. I looked around left and right, and there were so many women all around me. And I got just to be how I was feeling in that moment. And it surprised me because I honestly felt going into that meeting, I don't know why I'm going to this meeting. I'm not sure why. I'm staying on this path. And I got surprised because, again, I looked around and I realized I'm not alone.
How long
I'm
had
not
you been
alone.
sober at that point?
I think 3-ish years,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere at that point. And it was a real low moment. I was really having thoughts of things are not turning out great. Why am I still doing this? And in that moment, I saw my sponsor being of service. I saw women hugging each other. They came up and hugged me. And there was a girl in that meeting that was newer than me, also going through things. And that's how I just decided to push through just that day. I knew that I could make it through.
You got
And
me
then,
teary eyed on that one, Marissa.
yeah,
Seriously.
really. And
What?
the knowledge that the love and friendship and community in the group, the support you're describing, but also the knowledge that, so why am I still doing this? If I drink, how will that help?
No bad decision and no drink was going to help anything. And a meeting was exactly where I needed to be so that I could see outside of myself and see the big picture just for a moment. And I'm just that type of alcoholic where I don't know. I don't know And I don't think it's just one thing of all of the things that get suggested in our program, right? It's not just doing meetings. It's not just reading the book. I need to do all of the things, show up to meetings, be of service, go talk to somebody who raised their hand as being new, listen to my sponsor, keep sponsoring people, continue to grow along spiritual lines. I need the totality of that so that in moments like that, I can sit there and receive the message that I'm going to be okay. I have all of these safety nets, and I need to see and know that all of these things put into place are such a benefit to me. A benefit to me. Those are greater than one drink, than one bad decision.
Marissa, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us. It's
Marissa.
been a real joy chatting with you. And I'm so happy for you and the rest of the world that you have 13 years.
I am happy to produce this 13-year-old sober Marissa to the world. I agree.
It's time for the Ask It Basket.
What's that?
That's the name Bill W. gave the basket that was passed around for questions. We want your questions for our guests.
General recovery questions? Newcomer questions? AA history?
Got a question for the Ask It Basket? Go to aagrapevine.org and click on podcast.
And now, let's dip into the basket. We received this question for our segment, A Newcomer Asks. This is from Alex P. How much sobriety do you need to sponsor someone? I've been through the steps and have a little over a year of sobriety. Alex, thanks for the question.
Man, that's a great question.
So let me throw out the pat answer. 1 day more than they have.
Yeah, that's it. Somebody asked me to sponsor him at a newcomer meeting, and I had 30 days sober, and I was going, oh, well, now I've got to talk to my sponsor before I could do that. I'll get back to you. And I got his telephone number, and I talked to my sponsor, Gary, and he said, well, Don, you know how to stay sober 1 day at a time, don't you? And I was going, well, okay, yeah. Well, then you can help him with that, and you'll stay ahead of him.
And it also kind of lights a fire under you to work your steps.
It does. It absolutely does.
You know, I think the biggest thing is my sobriety stable? I think that's where I came from on my sobriety, insofar as being ready to sponsor.
There was an old timer who started my home group. He always said, we study the big book so that we'll become better sponsors. We never need to know what's in there. We need to know how we got sober, and so that we can help another person get sober. That's the point of it all.
Alex, I certainly hope that you're raising your hand when they ask for anyone who's available to sponsor to please raise their hand.
Around here, a lot of times they'll say, is there anybody who's available to be a temporary sponsor? And I am just enough of a smart aleck. I always go,
just enough. Yeah, no excess there.
Well, do you want temporary sobriety or not? You can always quit, but let's do the whole thing.
I mean, I got sober in Greensboro, North Carolina, and so temporary sponsorship is a thing that I heard there. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, my first sponsor was my temporary sponsor for 4 years. But here in California, temporary sponsorship is a rare thing in from where I've gone to meetings, and I haven't heard the term. But what it meant to me early on was that was someone that you could ask for information. What meeting should I go to? What is an open meeting? What's a closed meeting? Things like that.
All the newcomer questions, a guide. So what's the answer? How much sobriety do you need to sponsor someone?
More than they have.
And having been through the steps and have a little over a year,
that certainly helps.
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. You're ready.
Alex, I don't know you, but I think you're ready.
We want to hear your newcomer questions or questions someone has asked you. Write us at podcast@aagrapevine.org.
Or give us a call at 212-870-3418. Operators, we don't have any operators. Operators are standing by. You're going to go to voicemail. Sorry.
Hello? Just a moment. Let me put you through.
I'm Johnny. I'm alcoholic, and I subscribe to the AA Grapevine because it gives you access to all the stories from 1944 on when Bill started writing these, but also because I get a sense of what's going on today within the AA community. And the daily quotes, I try to use them as topics if nobody's bringing them up. I use it for a lot of different reasons, but those are my kind of go-tos.
If you like this podcast, give us 5 stars in the podcast app or tell a friend and help them download it on their phone.
Hey, did you know that a digital subscription is only $2.99 a month? And that is a wonderful way to support the podcast.
$3 a month? Come on.
I'm at the very wit's end. Cuckoo.
Alcohol won't solve your problems.
But it will give you some interesting new ones. It's really not that funny.
Thank you for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half-Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine, Inc. We don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous as a whole, but we do share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org, including our app and how to get in touch with us. Find us on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to know more about Alcoholics Anonymous, visit aa.org or search Alcoholics Anonymous in your city.